So I'm going to be breaking down the Dana White Contender Series Week 3 full fight card. So there's only 4 fights on this card now because a fight fell through at the weigh-ins. And not only did the fight fall through, but Felipe dos Santos actually got signed to the UFC and he's actually fighting Manel Kape at 284. So the last video I made was talking about how cursed the 293 card is because it's just had so many fallouts and everything. So it's good that they got a replacement for that card, but fuck man, still a rough card. But yeah, at least Manel Kape's still going to fight on the card. I had a feeling he wasn't going to, just because why would he want to fight him in Australia still? But I'm glad that he got a fight. It's good because, you know, so many people have pulled out of Manel Kape fights. But anyway, moving on to this card. So yeah, we had a fallout, so there's only 4 fights on this card now. But I'm going to talk about the first fight, which is a fight between Robbie Ring and Luis Pagello. Another Peruvian. A lot of Peruvians on this season. I'm going to be going with Luis Pagello. He's a brawler. He knocks people the fuck out. But the thing is, his opponent is a grappler, which is, you know, that stylistically could be rough for him. But Robbie Ring is a genuine can crusher from what I've seen. 0-0, 8-6, 1-0, 0-2, 0-0, 0-3. Like he's got a nice amateur career, but I don't know, this guy just can crushes. He hasn't beat anybody good. And Luis Pagello actually has wins against good level of competition. Like there's a win against a 13-2 guy, 3-3 is not good, but 5-2, 3-0, 7-4, 2-0. Like obviously he's beat some cans too, but I like his level of competition more. And this guy's really powerful, especially for a featherweight. So I like him to get this fight done, but I don't know, man. They got to start putting prospects on here who there has to be some criteria where you have to beat guys with positive records or something. Because they're letting on a lot of like can crushes on Dana White Contender Series. Like I don't know. I guess you can't really. I guess it depends on who they put in front of you. But you know, Robbie Ring fights on the American scene. Like, you know, you could quite easily find opponents who don't have negative records, but I don't know. Maybe Robbie Ring will prove me wrong here, but I just don't like when fighters have beat such low level of competition. So yeah, I'm going to go with Luis Pagello here. Then moving on, we got a fight in the 115-pound women's division. We got Isis Verbeek versus Josephine Cutson. I think that's how you pronounce that. So how am I going to go with this one? I'm going to go with the Swede, Josephine, in this one. She had a really good win over Jacinta Austin. That could have gone either way, but Jacinta Austin's like a really good prospect. Like, she's a pretty good prospect out of Australia. She'll probably get in the UFC eventually. And for Josephine to get a win there is really impressive. Plus 6-2 opponent. So, and then who's Verbeek beat? 3-1, 4-3, 2-0, 0-1. Has a good big kickboxing career, but she lost a lot of the kickboxing fights. While Josephine, she won quite a lot of her kickboxing fights, and one of them was a split decision. So, yeah, I know I'm using a bit of MMA math here, but you can never predict these women fights, and so I'm gonna go with Josephine, mostly because I know who she is. No, not really, just because I've seen her fight before, and she is pretty decent. So I'll go with the Swede. Then we have a 170-pound fight between Oben Elliott and Kaik Brito. Now, I like Oben Elliott. I always see him on Twitter. He seems like a good personality. But after George Hardwick lost, I said I'm not picking anyone from Cage Warriors ever again. So I'm going to keep to that here. He could win. I hope Oben Elliott wins because he seems like a really cool guy. A good personality. But I'm going to go with Brito here. Like, he's... I don't know. I'm not just... Okay, so let me just start off with... I'm not actually just basing this on George Hardwick losing last week. Like, I rate Cage Warriors as a promotion, but it's just like, I don't know. I think there's some sort of Cage Warriors curse at the moment. We even seen it with Justin Burleson when he got KO'd by Johan Linez. But yeah, let me have a look. So Brito, he's beat decent level of competition: 30 and 11, 9 and 2, 12 and 3, 5 and 2, 6 and 2, 5 and 2. Like, he's beat really good guys. You know, and a loss to Mateus Rebecki isn't anything to like be ashamed of. And he seems to have really good KO power. And Elliott's been KO'd by Figalac and KO'd by Flemus. Obviously, he's come back and he's on a nice little streak now, but I don't know. Like I say, I just have this on the back of my mind. I just keep thinking I can't trust anyone from Cage Warriors. So I hope Oben Elliott proves me wrong here. But I'm going to go with the Brazilian here. I'm going to go with Brito. And I think he'll get a KO. But I'm rooting for Oben Elliott. He seems like a really good guy. So yeah, but I'm going with Brito here. And we got the main event. We got Eli Aronov from Israel versus Zachary Reese. Zachary Reese is another Robbie Ring type guy, as in this guy quite literally has been the worst level of competition. 5 and 10 in his last fight. He got a 5 and 10 opponent to get into the Dana White Contender Series. And then before that, he beat 6 and 3 Aaron Phillips. Aaron Phillips, people know from his being on a season of Tough. Lost to Andre Petroski by guillotine. He was also known as the guy who like fucking trained out of his shed or something, or his garage or something, which was interesting. You know, I don't really rate him too highly. He was on the Alaska FC scene, which Alaska FC is notorious for just being can crushing. And if you look at his record, 2 and 4, 0 and 0, 0 and 0, 1 and 0, 2 and 3, lost to 5 and 2, lost to an 8 and 2. So he just loses to any step up in competition. So I don't really rate that win from Zachary Reese too much, but I guess it is Zachary Reese's best win there. And then on the amateur scene, he actually has a loss to Kevin Holland in 2012 in his first fight, which is really interesting, on Cowboys Extreme Cage Fighting, which is a really interesting promotion name. But yeah, this guy hasn't beat anyone really good. But he is getting really quick finishes, and he is making this level of competition look like that level of competition. But you know, what does this guy look like when he gets extended? You know, we don't know these questions. We don't have answers to these questions. Sorry. So I'm gonna go with Eli Aronov. Now he's beaten the better level of competition by far. 10 and 1, got an arm triangle against Maraz Kizakawiz. I think that's how you pronounce it. Then a 1 and 0 guy, so 2 and 2 guy, 0 and 0, 1 and 0, 2 and 0, which is still much better level of competition than Zachary Reese. This guy's a pretty big grappler. His striking defense does look a bit sus, so maybe he can get caught in this fight by Zachary Reese. But I'm going to go with the Israeli tank, Eli Aronov here. But yeah, I'm not confident with many of these fights just because I don't know, none of these guys are beating good level of competition. Like, I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a rule in place where you have to beat at least 3 guys with fucking positive records. Because a lot of these guys aren't even beating anybody with a positive record. Like, literally, Zachary Reese only has 1 win against somebody with a positive record. That is fucking atrocious. This is just showing you can crush your way to the UFC. And the thing is, if Zachary Reese does go and win, and then he gets like a real high level guy in his debut or something, that's going to be detrimental to his health, because he's probably going to take a really bad beating. It's going to hurt his confidence. Physically, he's going to be, you know, his health is going to deteriorate from whatever beating he gets, and mentally he's going to be fucked, because you can't can crush to the UFC. It doesn't end well. Maybe there's a few exceptions, you know, but can crushing to the UFC is never good, especially with limited experience as well. Like, Zachary Reese is 5 and 0, and he's only beat 1 guy with a fucking winning record. That is not good. Like, this isn't going to help him by any means. He should have built up more experience or something. You know, he should have at least got a win against some guys with positive records. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe Zachary Reese is gonna fucking go on to become the UFC middleweight champion. But I don't know. I guess it's more bodies for the UFC. I'm not hating on Zachary Reese. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I just mean I feel like this isn't good for him personally if he does get into the UFC with such limited experience against good competition. But maybe I'm wrong here. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going with the Israeli here. I think he'll get this fight to the second round and he'll sub a gassed out Zachary Reese. But I guess we'll find out. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, put on them notifications, and I'll catch you guys next time.